Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Wick Co.'s Supernatural Soy Flakes, so let's get started. So for the purposes of this test, I'm going to be using an Aura vessel from Wick Co. Most of my products are from Wick Co. and I will leave all the links down below, but this vessel holds about 12 to 13 ounces. The wick that I'm going to be using is a 0.625 Crackling Booster 3. Now the website does suggest for this particular wax to use a 0.4 Crackling Booster, but I didn't have any, so I'm going to be using a 0.3 Crackling Booster, and the size is 0.625. The fragrance that I'm going to be using also from Wick Co. is Dark Rose and Labdanum. If you haven't tried this fragrance, please go and buy it immediately. It is such a sexy and wonderful fragrance. I absolutely love it. Now for the star of today's video, we have the Supernatural Soy Flakes. These are 100% soy, all natural, vegan. They are supposed to be a single pour with a nice glass adhesion. The flakes were really nice themselves. I was surprised at how hard they were. For some reason, since I live in Florida, I thought that they would be melty, but absolutely not. They were a great texture and should be easy to work with. To figure out how much wax and fragrance oil I need, I use an app called the Candle Calculator, and I will leave a link down below, but it really does all the guesswork for you. Notice how when I got the wax and oil, however, I switched to grams because I find it much more accurate. I will say it was a lot easier scooping out the wax than it is cutting into giant chunks of the normal wax I use, which is EC26 virgin coconut soy. So that was definitely a nice feature of this wax. The bag and everything is super convenient and really user-friendly. So we're going to measure out our wax first. And remember, I switched to grams because I find that when you measure in grams, it is much more accurate than measuring in ounces. So all of my measurements that I do, whether it's my wax or my fragrance oil, I use grams just for accuracy. So normally when I'm making candles, I have 2 digiboils that I use, but since this is just a small test candle, I'm going to be doing the double boiler method, and I like to use a meat thermometer when I'm doing my testing, just because I find it very accurate. When it comes to centering my wicks, what I like to do is I put the warning label on the bottom first, and what that does is it allows me to see exactly where the center of the jar is, as you can tell, and then I just try and center the wick as close as possible inside that circle, and it works pretty darn well. So give that a try the next time you're trying to center your wick. Another thing I like to do is I always trim off the excess wick ahead of time because I find that when you have a lot of jars that are lined up next to each other, long wicks tend to get in the way. So I just trim off the excess and I find it a lot easier to work with. So the melting temperature got to about 165 degrees, but it does say that the pouring and mixing temperature on the directions is 140 to 150. So let's wait. Okay, so we are at 150 degrees, so I'm going to go ahead and pour in our fragrance oil. And like I said, this fragrance oil is absolutely incredible. Don't take my word for it. Go and buy it. It is just so sexy and just ridiculously wonderful. So I'm measuring out the fragrance oil, and then we're going to go ahead and mix it. So I mix for about 1 minute. Okay, so now we're ready to pour, and it does pour quite beautifully, I will say. So that's really nice. And then what I do is I'm just going to let it sit for a few hours just to see how it starts to harden and just what the overall look is after the initial pour. So as you can see, we had a little bit of a failure. I think what happened is I put the fragrance oil and poured too hot. And I think that's maybe what caused these issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try again and see. This time I'm maybe going to pour at a lower temperature and mix at a lower temperature and hope that that works. So I'm doing the identical vessel, identical wick, and I'm just going to be pouring at a lower temperature this time. This time I waited until the wax cooled down to about 140 degrees, 145 around there, before I decided to put my fragrance oil in, and I'm hoping that this gives me a better finished product. Remember, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more reviews of candle making products and business videos. Also, I will have a link to all of the products that I used in today's video, so look for that in the description box below. It still has that beautiful pour, which is really nice, and so I'm hoping that by mixing and pouring at a lower temperature, I can achieve a better result. This is my first time working with 100% soy wax, so it is a bit of a learning curve for me. Okay, well, you can tell that I still had a bit of an issue. And again, this is my first time working with 100% soy, so I am not used to having to wait for wax to cool down before I add fragrance and pour. It did turn out better, but it was still a bit unsightly. So I'm going to see if I can fix this with a heat gun. So one moment. Well, a heat gun definitely improved it, and so you do get a nice smooth texture now. Again, it's something I'm not used to doing with virgin coconut soy. Usually I pour it and I get a perfect smooth top. So this seems like a little bit more work. You really have to pay attention to the temperatures. Overall, I don't think I'll be switching from virgin coconut soy anytime soon, but it was nice to try something new, and I will definitely keep working with it and tweaking it more. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all next week.